this community selling platform for fresh groceries is among the Filipino firms that made it to Forbes Asia's 100 to watch list this year. SariSuki CEO and co-founder Brian Koo shares their story. Brian, great to have you with us, and
Hi,
congratulations to be part of that Forbes list.
Thank you. Good evening, Rico. It's great to be here.
How does SariSuki work?
So SariSuki is what you call a community selling platform. We fall under the umbrella of what you call a social commerce type of platform, where we use social media methods to be able to sell products. We carry over 5,000 different products, ranging from vegetables to fruits to rice to eggs to other basic FMCG type items that our community leaders who sign up on the platform can sell into their communities.
And how does this help our marginalized kababayans who want to be micro-entrepreneurs?
So the company started at the height of the pandemic in April of 2021. It was an idea that came out from our living room. My wife started selling into her Viber community, or started building one. She started with fruits and meats, and I said, hey, maybe this is something that we can expand. So just like any good entrepreneur, I stole her idea and expanded it into something, tried to expand it to something bigger. We're still working hard at it. It helps the underprivileged and also the underworked members of our society to earn an extra income.
But how are you adjusting and pivoting your SariSuki business now that we are back to normal operations? And with vegetables, you mentioned rice, you mentioned onions, I mean, being hoarded, soaring prices, inflation. How are you making these adjustments?
So we're fortunate to be one of the businesses that started during the pandemic that was able to hold on to our sales. And it's testament, I guess, to the model that we have. I believe in the Filipino entrepreneurial spirit. I believe in it a lot. That's why you see a lot of sari-sari stores, a lot of like Paris vendors in the street. I've been taking notice of a lot of them now. We have that entrepreneurial spirit which wants us to do side hustles, which madiskarte basically.
Correct.
And direct selling into the community has always been a thing for Filipinos as a side hustle, but they've never done it for basic necessities, basic essentials, things that your neighbor would need on a day-to-day basis.
And how many sellers do you already have in SariSuki?
We've had more than 20,000 signups. Around 8,000 of them have been active on a regular basis. So it's quite a big community that we're managing now. And each of them would sell to like 5 different families. We try to price products at the lowest possible costs by going direct to the supply. And hopefully translating those savings into earnings for the community leader and savings for the end consumer.
And is this operation focused just in Luzon? Are you also in the Visayas and Mindanao? Are you across the archipelago with your more than 7,500 community leaders?
I wish that we could be across the archipelago because of the benefit that we bring to communities. But right now we're focused on Luzon. The main reason is because we deal with fresh and frozen items, which makes logistics very hard. So the Philippines, for example, for its fresh produce, and we're talking about high value crops, onions, for example, or basic vegetables, your bahay kubo vegetables or your pinakbet vegetables, highland, lowland. We don't have post-harvest facilities that allow vegetables to last throughout the supply chain. 40% of vegetables is wasted across the supply chain. And distribution is out of whack. And we talk about being able to create a food secure nation. Right. We're trying to do our part, but we are in severe lack of the required infrastructure, and hopefully through being able to give access to digital platforms will help drive the creation of better infrastructure that would bring these products to the consumer.
But Brian Koo is known for basically solving the inefficiencies in the Philippines infrastructure system, in the supply chain. I mean, you worked for Grab for 7 years. You were with Gojek, which is an Indonesian transportation system. You have Biyahe, and now SariSuki. Do you think that this is the biggest headache that you've ever had?
It's up there, Rico. It's up there. There's a lot of players involved. Transport also has a lot of players, but it's a bit more straightforward. Whereas here in agriculture, and just watching your segment earlier, there's a lot of shadow players.
Yeah.
You know, you have your
Hoarders.
Hoarders.
You have your smugglers, your big traders.
a lot of them exist in the shadows that it's very hard to pinpoint, di ba? Yung mga kababayan natin gusto nilang magalit. They wanna put blame on someone, and there's no one to put blame on.
None of them are behind bars. And now we have a price cap on the price of rice, which will impact the supply and also impact the small retailers.
It also impacts the farmers because as the prices go down, the traders will drive down the prices of palay. So last week we were speaking to some farmers in Nueva Ecija. Palay prices were at 24 pesos for wet. In a week after the price cap, they're now at 19, 18.50, 19. It's wet season now. Yields will be lower. A lot of the farmers don't have the initial capital to put in to plant properly. So there will be problems on the horizon.
Lots of
There will be
problems.
on the horizon.
Lots of problems trying to solve these infrastructural inefficiencies
Yes.
in the country. But of course, I also want to find out, no, because you're now a serialpreneur. You started with Grab, with Gojek, and then Biyahe during the pandemic. And now SariSuki, what best practices did you learn from your 7 years in Grab that you have transferred to all of your new ventures?
One thing that I really focused on in Grab was building the community, whether it's drivers, riders, and passengers. No? And that's something that we brought to SariSuki. That's why it's a community selling platform. Being able to empower a large group of individuals towards a common goal by giving them the right set of incentives and aspirations, I think is something that's very powerful and that a lot of companies can learn and build on.
What about artificial intelligence? How are you using this for your operations?
Luckily, we deal in vegetables. We're not going to get replaced by AI anytime soon, but we use
The system.
We use it to enhance things that we do. For example, in the way we program the app. You can get AI to speed up the work of developers. You can tell AI, I need this feature, and it will come out, spit out a code that your developers can build on. There's AI also that we're looking at using in being a bit more intelligent in recommending products to consumers. So we know that they buy chicken a lot, maybe they need to buy potatoes because they're making a certain recipe. So it helps sort of create a more customized selection for our consumers.
What about for our viewers who want to start a company? I mean, everyone always says, oh my goodness, when you get into a startup firm, you burn cash on a daily basis. And maybe only 1 out of 100 or 1,000 startups survive this battle.
Yes.
What is your advice to entrepreneurs who want to start their own business?
Think long and hard. Think long and hard if it's the right path for you. When we started the business in 2021, and a lot of the companies that started in 2021 had an easier time raising funds. Multiples on which you were valued and against which you raised capital on were higher than it is today, largely driven by increasing interest rates. I mean, that's a whole other issue. So you may be able to raise your first round of funding, but then very quickly on, once you start the business, a lot of investors would look at actual results.
That's right.
It's like buying a pack of trading cards, right? You don't know what's in it. You might pay a lot because there might be a rare item, but once it's open, then that's when the rubber hits the road.
So Biyahe, SariSuki, what is next for Brian Koo?
Next is to focus on SariSuki and make it from the list of aspiring startups to watch to one of the really large and long-term companies that can solve the country's problems.
Brian, good luck with SariSuki and congratulations that you're in Forbes Asia's 100 to watch list in 2023.
Thank you, Rico.